So hello Gemma, can you start off by telling me about yourself and your martial arts history?
Yeah, I'm 31 and I've only been doing martial arts since 2013, it was August. I joined a kickboxing club because I needed to lose weight. I was 4 stone heavier and just had my little boy. I needed a bit more confidence as well. I've been a police officer for 10 years and I was going to go back to work, so I needed a bit of confidence to defend myself. Walked in and got the bug. Within probably a week I was sparring, fighting within the club. Never done anything before, but I really enjoyed it. Found actually I was alright at it. Done it for ever since then. I have continued fighting and sparring, but going into competitions. I've so far won 2 British title belts within full contact kickboxing, and I have got a European title belt coming up and an intercontinental title belt coming up, which is amazing for me because it's one below world and that's my goal. I love kickboxing, but my heart really lies with jiu-jitsu, and I started learning karate as well, so I've got a need to learn martial arts at the moment, and I love them all. I've been an instructor for going on 2-3 years now. I did my level 2 instructor for the CMEA, and I did when I became a black belt, I think that was 2015, in full contact kickboxing, I went for my level 1 instructors, which I've got now. Left cops after 10 years and decided that this is what I wanted to do full time, and this is what I'm doing now, and the benefit of that is I get to train every day and get to teach every day, and just get to get better and learn off the best, really. So.
Do you feel like your understanding of your technique and training has increased with teaching it?
Massively, yeah. I think when I learn very much by watching a technique, doing a technique, and then having a technique done on myself. So those 3 steps are really important for me. So the more I teach something, the more I have to be aware of each individual part of it. So yeah, I think it's helped me massively by teaching the students.
What sort of instructors have you had? Male, female? What have they taught you?
My main instructor and my coach is Chris Lowe. He's literally taught me everything I know about kickboxing, which I thought was a lot until I've started teaching it myself, and I realised that I've got a lot to learn, and I think that you'll learn something new every day. My karate instructor's female, she's called Denise Shemmold. She's amazing. I've only been doing it a couple of months, and she's the reason that I've fallen in love with it, because the way she teaches, she just gets me, and she sees where I can go and how I can do it, and talks to me in layman's terms rather than confusing me with all the jargon. So.
As a kickboxer, what's your view of kata?
Originally, before I did kata,
yeah, before and after.
Before I did kata, I thought it was just funny. It's a load of moves put together. How could it possibly be hard? I didn't understand what place it had until I started doing my research. Martial arts history is quite important to me now. I learn a lot of Chris, but obviously I learn a lot of Denise as well. And since I've started doing kata, I've realised literally how hard it is and how important it is to pretty much every martial art that I'll do, because it breaks down every single move. You have to do it perfectly. Your body has to be in the right place. Your mind has to be in the right place. I totally underestimated kata and karate before I did it, but I'm so glad that I've started doing it now. I think I've got a long way to go, but I'm willing to put the time in and do it.
Has your kickboxing experience coloured your interpretation of the bunkai, the application of the movements?
I think I've got a more practical practical thought process around the bunkai, and bunkai's there for one reason, isn't it? And it's there to put your kata movements and things like that into practice. But I've always got that extra thought of what if this happens, what if that happens. So, my kickboxing has made me increase my knowledge with my kata and my bunkais as well.
How do you think women see themselves as martial artists?
I think it empowers some women. I think some women may not feel as though they're ever going to be respected as much as the male martial artists, because it is a male-dominated thing, basically. You'll walk into any martial arts club, and unless it's a segregated class, 90% of the people in the room will be male. I think women have to fight harder to get where they need to go, and prove themselves more than the males would have to, because they're going into a man's sport, if you like, or what has always been a man's sport, and women are now taking over.
How do you think women are seen as martial artists by the general public?
I think a lot of media plays a part in that. Media used to make women look like big butch people who pretty much look like blokes when they were doing martial arts and stuff, big muscles, someone not really to mess with. I think as a result of various high-profile martial artists in the media, and especially the Olympics and how like Taekwondo was viewed in the Olympics, etc. I think people are getting a more realistic view of women in martial arts, and they're realising that it's just everyday women now. It's not, you've not got big bodybuilders that just do it. It's just like normal people like me, and mums, and just normal working people.
So you mentioned you're a mum. How do your kids see you? As all this training that you do, all the fighting that you do, have they even come to see you fight yet?
I wouldn't have my kids come and see me fight because my little girl is so protective. She'd probably jump in the ring and pull her off me. They see me sparring all day long at the club. This is my home. The dojo is my home. I spend more time here than I do at my actual house. So they are so used to mummy fighting and so used to mummy coming home with the odd black eye and things like that. They don't bat an eyelid. They're really proud, and they take my medals or my title belts and stuff that I've won. They take them into school to show their friends and show and tell in school. So they are very proud. I think it would upset them a little bit if they saw actually the full contact side of things and they saw mummy fight, live. They have asked to see my fights afterwards, and they've sat and watched it, but because they see me fight so often in here, and especially I haven't got any female sparring partners, so I spar with men. Because they see me sparring with men all the time, they don't bat an eyelid, they're just used to it. And my little girl really wants to come and fight as well.
Yeah, I saw her on the mats earlier,
yeah.
So are you going to get her trained up?
I think she's got a different mentality than myself, in the fact that she's really, really good at giving it and going forward and attacking, but she struggles taking it, and I think that's maturity. She's only 7. I think, different children will progress at different ages, and I don't really ever want to push them too much, because I don't want them to do something because I'm doing it. I want them to do something because they want to do it. But she's really desperate to get on and do some fighting, so we'll see.
And do you think your son will be going on the mats as well?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, my little boy struggles. He's being assessed for various things at the moment, having ADHD and stuff like that. And I think his attention span struggles. But I think I actually am an advocate for fighting for autism, and I believe that martial arts is an amazing thing for any kid with disabilities or learning difficulties, because it allows them to be included in everything that any other child's included in, and it also shows them how confident and how well they can do regardless of any issues that they may face. So I think it's really good for them.
Is Kids with Autism a charity?
Fighting for Autism it's all right. Fighting for Autism is a worldwide organisation. You've got various people that advocate it as fighting ambassadors. I'm actually a coaching ambassador, and I do a lot of coaching for kids with autism, or kids on the spectrum anyway. You've got various people like Conor McGregor. He's massively into the fighting for autism. He represents them every time he goes out to fight, so he'll wear the kit and he'll go and meet all the kids and stuff like that. It's really, really good, and it's just raising awareness really, and I've been really lucky of being included in that, so that I can ask advice and help if I'm struggling with one of my kids and how to get them to do a certain technique, or learning core stability and things like that. All I need to do is speak to one of the advocates, and it's all over the world. So it started in America, went to Australia. They kind of help you, and no one's bothered about what time of day it is. They'll all step in, they'll all help you with advice. It's good.
Do you think some arts are more appropriate for women to participate in, or more popular with women?
I think any martial art, I'm quite biased, I think any martial art is really appropriate for women. The mixed martial arts scene is quite brutal, really, because of the level of risk of injury is really, really high. So I understand why women may well want to stay clear of that, especially if they're working full time, they're going to work with injuries, etc. Maybe non-contact or light contact martial arts may be more popular with women because, I don't know, because it is a male-dominated sport, and like I've said before, I haven't got any female training partners. I have to just train with blokes, but for me that's really good, because if I can take the power of the men that I train with, then I can take the power of any woman I step in the ring with. But some women, I think they would prefer light contact or no contact, like karate, the light contact of karate, or the light and continuous contact of kickboxing, the mat fighting side of things, or the kata. Again, kata is no contact at all, but it's still learning your martial art and learning the knowledge of all the different moves. I think that might be more popular.
How do you think women are portrayed in the movies and in media now?
I think it's so much better now. I think women are portrayed as being women, not these masculine, big butch men type women. I think you've got the likes of Ronda Rousey, Paige Van Zandt, Misha Tate, who are all beautiful ladies, who are all in magazines and things like that. The men all drool over, if you like, and they are beautiful, and then they get in the ring and they hold their own and they fight like any other person could fight, and they put everything in, and I think it's increased the respect level for women in martial arts as well. I think the media's done a massive job and a really good job at doing that.
So do you feel now that perceptions of women in the martial arts have changed, say, even since you started training over the last few years? Have they altered in any way that you can tell?
I think so. I think women are now viewed in a respected level in martial arts. I think it wasn't up until recently that where there was a lower weight class for women in the UFC, and as soon as that was opened, you got the likes of all those ladies I've already mentioned coming into it, and it's kind of give us a chance, or give women a chance to show what we're made of, and I think the media's done that and it's really helped.
And do you think that has been extended beyond the martial arts as to how women are seen in society?
I don't know. I think society as a whole now is aiming at inclusion and aiming at equality. I've gone from a job where I was a police officer for 10 years. Before that I worked in the gym, so every job I've ever been in, and now I'm a professional martial artist, so every job I've ever been in is male dominated. So I've always had to fight, harder than probably my counterpart to get further in what I'm doing. So I think as society moves on and as time moves on, I think the inclusion and the equality is getting better anyway.
So what do you think the purpose of gender segregated training is? I
think the purpose of it is to make people feel more comfortable, and again, inclusion. I do get that some women are really, really unconfident when they come to walking in a gym. Walking in a gym is really, really scary for some women, especially when maybe you've been away, you've had a baby, you've put a bit of weight on, your confidence is at rock bottom, you don't really know what to do with yourself, but you know you've got to do the right thing and go and do some exercise. It's just making that first step to walk into somewhere. I think walking into a dojo may be a little bit harder than walking into a gym, because the perception of a dojo is big, beefy men all knocking 10 bells out of each other, and the reality is a lot different. The dojo where I work and I teach, and I've always been, is a family dojo, and it's family orientated, and we have our children here, we have our friends here, we have our family here, and we are more like a family than like colleagues and students, etc. I think once someone walks in, then they wouldn't need the segregated classes, but getting them in, the segregated classes have got the purpose to get them in and make them realise that actually it's not as they would perceive. I personally wouldn't go to one because, again, I want to be equal to the blokes that I train with, but everything's got its place.
And do you think female UFC fighters have impacted positively or negatively on how women are seen and how martial artists are seen?
I love the UFC. I love mixed martial arts because, jiu-jitsu is something that I've fallen in love with. along with my kickboxing and my karate and things like that. So all those martial arts I've mentioned have a place in UFC. I think women in general have started watching the UFC a lot more because they can relate to some of the women that are in there. You know, it's not just men knocking 10 bells out of each other anymore, it's ladies doing it as well, but these ladies are really, really down to earth, really lovely ladies who feature and come across really well. And I think because of UFC and because of how people can relate to them, I think it's allowed women to realise that actually they can walk into places like this and they can take part and they can do just as well as their male counterparts. So I think it's really good.
Thanks, Gemma. And I've just got one last question for you, which is a bit of a curveball because I've not mentioned this one to you yet.
Right.
What is your understanding or feeling when you hear the term feminism?
If I heard the term feminism straight away, I'd think about taking your bra off and going burning it and you know, fighting for your rights and all that. But feminism to me is about just being confident in who you are and being confident enough to stand your ground and to be treated as an equal to the person that you work with. You know, it's not about fighting for your rights to do the same thing as everybody else because we've already got them rights. It's about being confident and backing other women up. You know, if you've got a friend that wants to come to the dojo but feels really like low or really like scared of coming in because they're a lady, it's about giving them a bit of a boost and letting them know that it will be okay.
Gemma, what do you fancy teaching your training tonight?
I'm a fighter, so I'll teach you some fighting techniques.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Remember the terms I won't be familiar with, so you're going to have to
That's fine.
Simple
Listen,
language.
I use simple language for myself as well because I'm not very good at thinking it. So when we fight, start off with you need your hands high. I always have my elbows in and I have my gloves turned out slightly. We take the stance from the Thai stance because if your gloves are turned out and I throw a punch at you, it's so much easier to parry down and get back to your face. So if I throw a jab cross, it's parry, and you can move your face, move your head at the same time, staying on your toes. So your hands need to be high. When you throw your punches, they've got to be straight and they've got to be long and pop it. So 1, 2, 3. Every punch doesn't have to be super strong, just tap it in to start off with and then we'll move it. So okay. Jab cross, really good. Jab cross. So your left hand now is coming back to your chest, it's got to come back to your chin. So important because when we're kickboxing, that leg will come up and if your hand's not high enough, it's not going to be there to defend. So jab cross, good. Jab cross hook, sorry, jab cross left hook, good. So have you done any rolling and slipping before?
Only a little bit, and that was about 10-15 years ago.
That's cool. It's natural reaction to move when someone goes to hit you. So if you jab cross, and then I throw a jab at you, your natural reaction is to move and parry. That was perfect example. If you parry like that though, and you move your head, my leg could be coming up to get you. So all you need to do is time out the movement. So as that comes out, not natural, but your head's going to come towards the elbow. As it does, you've opened them up for a big right hand to the ribs, or a left face snapper, okay? So jab cross, and then slip. That's it. So at the moment, that's really, really good, but that could come up so your face is wide open. Okay. So rather than parry it away with that hand, slip towards it, hands high, both hands high, slip towards it. So just slip towards it, that's perfect. Can you see how open I am now for a punch? Sweet, isn't it? Jeez. It's not the punches and kicks, it's the movement in between punches and kicks that makes kickboxing and fighting. So jab cross slip, much better. And then the counter comes in, yes? If you see a good counter, then throw it in. Sorry, my voice is going. Jab cross slip. Good that. Again. Good. So after you've countered, then you're going to roll under my right hand. So you're going to go jab, cross, slip, under, and look for another opening. So it's slowly jab, cross, slip, counter, and then roll under this one, and wide open again. So now you're controlling the centre of the ring. You're throwing your punches and you're defending and you're throwing your counters, so that's where your fighting comes in. Because you don't always defend, you don't always punch. So jab cross, slip under, good, very good. One last thing to make your fight complete is half a step out. Really important that, because if you stay here all the time, then you're going to get hit. It's kickboxing, we're going to get hit at some point, yeah. Trading blows. That half a step has saved me so many times in so many fights, because that half a step changes the dynamic of the fight. You can't reach me, I've got enough thinking time to step in and throw a punch, okay? So once you've done that combination we've just said, you're going to half a step out, and then you'll see what happens. So it's really important, isn't it? And then also, the difference between, you'll see a lot of people go like this. You only ever 2 steps back away from the rope. Yeah? So your half a step out allows you to come back at them without actually losing the centre of the ring.
Okay. So it's almost transferring the weight back.
I would, that goes to your karate days, isn't it? Like the transferring the weight.
Well, kung fu, yes.
Yeah, sorry, the kung fu. I would always have my hips under my shoulders, because you need to be able to pivot, you need to be able to move forwards and backwards. So I always, because I'm so small as well, I would always stand really tall, shoulders high, hips under your shoulders, feet under your hips. And at that point, I step out, I bring my leg with me, so you step in, feet follow, step out. So this tripod type shape is so secure, it very rarely changes. Yeah, again. Good. As you step out for a left hook, it'll come in nice and sweet now. Slip, under, left hook, that's it. So as you step out, the half a step, throw left hook. What that does is, if I come back at you, even if you don't hit me with that left hook, as you're stepping out, you're kind of defending yourself, as well as showing the judges that you're still fighting on. Again. Really good. Left leg on the end of that as well. Good. So when we're in kickboxing, our left leg's supposed to be proper sneaky. So you're not supposed to be able to see it. So from here, I should be able to kick you in the leg without you even see it coming. So I want you to not lean as much now when you step out, yeah? So left hook, left leg without leaning. Again. Good, that. Again. You said no. Again. Really good. Well done. How much more do you want me to do?
I think that'll do me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.